Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Silver Screen, where we dive into the murky, booze-soaked waters of Hollywood's past. Today, we're talking about a time when film stars had fewer rules than a toddler in a sweet shop, and the only code in town was how much gin can you smuggle in your handbag. Yes, we're exploring the top 11 most scandalous and spicy pre-code Hollywood stars, the ones who made today's celebrity meltdowns look like a polite disagreement at a village fete. Clara Bow didn't just have it, she practically invented it, and by it, I mean doing whatever the hell she wanted. She was involved in enough love triangles to make a geometry teacher blush, and her off-screen life was a whirlwind of parties, gambling, and a fondness for strip poker that would make your nan faint. Bow's idea of a quiet night in was just one without the police being called. Mae West didn't just push boundaries, she smacked them in the face with a silk glove. She was once arrested for corrupting the youth, which is a bit rich considering the youth were already doing a fine job of that on their own. Her plays were banned, her movies were censored, and she still managed to make pearls clutch themselves. Mae's philosophy was simple. Why say something suggestive when you can say something that makes the censors pass out? Barbara Stanwyck had a reputation for playing tough-as-nails women, and off-screen, she was just as formidable. She lived through rumours of wild affairs, a secret marriage, and accusations of lesbianism, which in those days was like admitting you put the milk in before the tea. Stanwyck didn't just break the glass ceiling, she smashed it with a baseball bat and asked for a cigarette afterward. Tallulah Bankhead was as famous for her outrageous behaviour as for her acting. She was openly bisexual, which in the 1930s was like being openly fond of Marmite, very polarising. Bankhead smoked in bed, didn't wear knickers, and allegedly took a lover a day to keep the doctor away. Tallulah's life was like a Tennessee Williams play, if Tennessee Williams had written for. Jean Harlow was a walking scandal. She married at 16, got divorced before she could legally drink, and made headlines for wearing dresses that were more transparent than a politician's excuse. Her personal life was filled with more drama than one of her films, including a husband who mysteriously died, leading to all sorts of juicy speculation. Harlow was proof that behind every successful woman is a trail of suspiciously charred ex-husbands. Marlene Dietrich played with gender norms like a cat with a particularly intriguing piece of string. She wore men's suits, had affairs with both sexes, and once showed up to a party in drag, just because she could. Hollywood didn't know whether to kiss her or run away, so they usually did both. Dietrich was the original gender bender. Think David Bowie, but with fewer guitar solos and more cigars. Louise Brooks wasn't just a pretty face. She was a pretty face with a razor-sharp wit and a habit of causing trouble. She despised Hollywood, openly mocked her directors, and left the film industry at the height of her career. Because, why not? She was also unapologetically promiscuous, which in 1920s America was like being a one-woman hurricane. Louise Brooks wasn't just ahead of her time, she was practically a time traveller with a taste for scandal. Joan Crawford's rise to stardom was a rags-to-riches story with an emphasis on the rags. Mainly because she had so many skeletons in her closet, there was barely room for a feather boa. Her ruthless ambition was legendary, and her love life was a tabloid's dream, complete with affairs, feuds, and marriages that ended quicker than a box of chocolates at a diet club. Crawford's life was a soap opera before soap operas were even a thing. although she'd probably have thrown the soap at someone. Norma Shearer was the original queen of playing respectable women on screen, while her off-screen life was anything but. She married the head of MGM, had affairs with her co-stars, and wasn't afraid to use her connections to get what she wanted, including roles that were a bit too risque for the time. Shearer may have played the saint, but she was about as holy as a cheese grater. Gloria Swanson was a silent film star who was anything but silent in real life. She had a string of affairs, including a scandalous one with a married man, and was involved in some of the most expensive and controversial films of the era. Her love life was more dramatic than the average Shakespeare play, and twice as long. Swanson's affairs were so notorious, they could have been serialized in, and probably would have been if she hadn't been busy making more. Louise Fazenda was known for her comedic roles, but behind the laughter there was plenty of drama. She kept her personal life under wraps, but the whispers of affairs and secret liaisons were enough to fuel gossip columns for years. It's said she managed to keep a career in comedy while dodging more bullets than a gangster in a 1930s movie. Fazenda was the sort of actress who could make you laugh while stealing your boyfriend, and you wouldn't even mind. And there you have it, the 11 most scandalous, spicy, and downright cheeky stars of pre-code Hollywood. They made the roaring 20s raw and the dirty 30s downright filthy. Remember, next time you're watching a classic film, it's not just what happens on screen that's worth watching. It's the off-screen antics that made these stars truly unforgettable. Until next time, this has been Kunk on the Silver Screen, because history is just yesterday's gossip with better lighting.